How dare you, woman, stand in my way like that? Do you have any idea who my fiancé is? Before Emma could fully realize what she'd done, the woman she had kicked, poised, elegant, and clearly not a cleaner, turned, looked her dead in the eye and slapped her. Emma's heart froze. She had no idea that the woman in front of her was Victoria Sterling, the mother of her fiancé, Alex Sterling. Welcome to Stories by Teejay, where we bring you real-life drama, love, and the impossible choices people face. I'm so glad you're here with us today. Before we dive into this shocking and unforgettable story, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We love connecting with our viewers. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss our upcoming stories that keep you on the edge of your seat. Emma Carter was late. Again. The alarm on her phone had betrayed her, and now she was scrambling around her small but stylish apartment in downtown Chicago. Hair half-tied, heels mismatched, and coffee dangerously close to spilling. She was trying to get ready for what could easily be the most nerve-wracking evening of her life, her engagement party with Alex Sterling. Emma, you look like a tornado hit you. Chloe's voice rang from the other end of the video call. Her best friend's perfectly made-up face blinked at her from the screen. I know. I have a million things to do before Alex's mom shows up, and ugh. I can't even think straight. Emma groaned, trying to zip up her dress while balancing her phone between shoulder and ear. Chloe rolled her eyes, smirking. You always manage to panic like it's the end of the world. Take a deep breath. And for heaven's sake, watch where you walk this time. Last time you nearly tripped over your own cat. Emma muttered under her breath. This isn't a cat situation, Chloe. This is Alex Sterling's mother. She's terrifying. Exactly. Don't make a first impression that ends with a lawsuit, Chloe teased. Emma finally grabbed her heels, slung her bag over her shoulder, and dashed out of her apartment. The elevator was slow, of course, and by the time the doors opened on the lobby floor, she was moving so fast that her brain barely registered what was in front of her. A woman, impeccably dressed in a sleek cream blouse and designer skirt, was carrying a tray of drinks, stepping lightly through the lobby. Emma, in her panic and caffeine-deprived haze, misread her entirely. I'm so sorry, Emma shouted as she tried to step around her, but her foot caught the woman's ankle. A yelp, a stumble, and Emma's reflex kicked in. Without thinking, she nudged the woman with her foot to regain balance. The woman spun around, her eyes cold and piercing. Emma froze, her words caught in her throat. Who is this woman? How dare you? The woman's voice sliced through the lobby. Do you have any idea what you just did? Emma, flustered and already convinced she'd ruined her morning, started stammering. I'm so sorry. I didn't. Before she could finish, the woman lifted her hand and slapped Emma across the cheek. Hard. The echo of it seemed to linger longer than reality should allow. Emma stumbled back, hand over her face, her heart hammering. I didn't mean to, Emma started again, but the woman's glare pinned her like an accusation. Emma's phone buzzed. A text from Alex popped up. Mom's at the lobby. Don't embarrass yourself. Love you. Her stomach dropped. Her brain finally connected the dots. The woman she had just attacked wasn't a cleaner. She wasn't anyone random. This was Victoria Sterling, Alex's mother. The woman whose word could make or break her life with Alex. Emma's legs nearly gave way. Chloe's voice screamed in her mind. I told you to watch where you walked. Taking a shaky breath, Emma straightened her dress and muttered under her breath. Okay, Emma, you've survived mornings worse than this. Maybe. She had no idea that this single catastrophic mistake was about to turn her whole engagement upside down. Emma's hand still tingled from the unexpected slap, and her cheek burned like fire. She tried to apologize, her voice shaky. I'm so sorry. I honestly thought, I didn't mean to. Victoria Sterling, standing tall with a calm yet intimidating posture, fixed Emma with a look that could freeze rivers. She didn't immediately respond. Instead, she tilted her head, eyes narrowing, and spoke in a measured, almost chilling tone. Do you always kick strangers in the lobby? Emma blinked, her heart pounding. I didn't know you were, I thought you were, She searched her mind frantically. Cleaner, janitor, someone who worked for the building. Anything that wasn't the mother of her fiancé. Victoria raised an eyebrow, a faint smirk playing on her lips. Someone like me? Emma nodded, biting her lip. Yes. No. I'm so sorry. Her words tumbled out in a chaotic rush, sounding more like panic than apology. She waved her hands helplessly. I promise, I didn't mean it. Oh gosh, this is so embarrassing. Victoria, for the first time, allowed a small laugh to escape. Not cruel, but sharp. It was a sound that made Emma feel simultaneously small and scrutinized. You have spirit, Victoria said finally. I'll give you that. Most young women would have collapsed in fear by now. Or fainted. Emma, cheeks flushing hotter by the second, tried to smile nervously. Just. I wasn't thinking. Please don't tell Alex. He'll hate me. Victoria's eyes softened slightly, but her smirk remained. Don't worry, I won't tell him yet. But you need to understand something, Emma. The world doesn't forgive carelessness easily. Especially not in my family. Emma's stomach dropped. This isn't just embarrassment anymore. This was serious. She was face to face with a woman who could make or break her engagement, and she had already started on the wrong foot. Trying to gather herself, Emma asked cautiously, I can make it up to you. Anything. Please, just tell me. Victoria's gaze flickered, as though weighing Emma's sincerity. Then, with a subtle tilt of her head, she said, Very well. Let's see how you handle responsibility and social grace. You're going to help with a little test tonight. Consider it a trial. Emma froze. A test. Victoria's smirk deepened. Yes, a chance for you to prove that you're more than clumsy and reckless. We'll see if Alex's choice was wise or regrettable. Emma swallowed hard, nodding rapidly. I'll do whatever it takes. I promise. Victoria straightened her posture, calm and commanding once more. Good. Now go. Collect yourself before the party. And Emma. Yes. Emma's voice was barely a whisper. Victoria's smile was thin but firm. Try not to trip on anyone else tonight. Emma, her nerves a mix of panic and determination, backed away slowly. She glanced at her phone, Alex's text still glowing in the screen. Mom's at the lobby. Don't embarrass yourself. Em. Love you. Her eyes widened. This is going to be a very long evening. Emma stumbled into the elevator, clutching her bag like a lifeline. Her mind was spinning faster than the numbers on the floor indicator above the doors. Victoria Sterling. Alex's mother. The woman oh no. She sank against the wall, trying to collect herself. Her reflection in the elevator mirror mocked her. Cheeks flushed, hair slightly messy, and a wide-eyed panic that screamed, I've just ruined everything. Her phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't Alex. It was Chloe, sending a single text with a gif of someone fainting dramatically. Emma groaned and muttered, Thanks for reminding me, genius. Minutes later, Emma was back in her apartment, pacing. She tried to focus, to calm the storm of embarrassment and fear inside her. She had to make it through the engagement party tonight without completely humiliating herself, or worse, angering Victoria further. Okay, think. You can do this. You're smart, charming, and capable, right? A knock at the door made her jump. It was Alex, casually dressed but with that effortless charm that made Emma's heart skip every time. He stepped inside, eyes scanning her frazzled state. Emma, what happened? He asked, eyebrow raised. Emma tried to play it cool, but her voice wavered. I ran into someone in the lobby, and it was nothing really. Totally fine. Alex frowned, a flicker of concern crossing his face. The lobby? Who did you run into? Emma hesitated. Should she tell him? Should she admit the slap? It was a lady. She's, well, you'll see tonight. She trailed off, wishing for a time machine. Alex tilted his head, skeptical but trusting. All right, but calm down. Mom's tough, yes, but she's not unreasonable. Just try to be yourself. Emma nodded, but her stomach sank. She had already failed the Be Yourself test before the party even started. Meanwhile, across town in a sleek Sterling penthouse, Victoria Sterling was recounting the incident to her personal assistant, her lips curling into a small, controlled smile. She's bold, Victoria said quietly, almost to herself. Most young women would have cowered. But this one, she's unpolished, raw. We'll see if she can rise to the challenge. Alex deserves a partner who can handle our world, not trip over it. Back in her apartment, Emma tried on dresses, flitting from one to another, mentally rehearsing polite greetings and apologies. She caught herself in the mirror and whispered, "You can do this, Emma. Just survive tonight." Her phone buzzed again. This time it was Alex. "Dinner's in an hour. Don't stress. I love you. Mom's already at the venue." Emma stared at the screen, frozen. Already at the venue. Her pulse quickened. The engagement party had begun without her. She took a deep breath, tugged on her dress one last time, and whispered, "Okay, let's do this." She grabbed her bag and headed out the door, unaware that Victoria Sterling had already planned a few little surprises to test her composure and character before she would even get a chance to prove herself to Alex. The night, Emma realized, would be longer, stranger, and far more humiliating than she could ever imagine. The sleek black car pulled up to the Sterling estate, gleaming under the city lights. Emma took a deep breath, her fingers gripping the edge of her clutch. She could feel her heart pounding like a drum, and for the first time all day, she wished Chloe were beside her to provide moral support, or at least comic relief. As the chauffeur opened the door, Emma stepped out, heels clicking against the cobblestone driveway. The grandeur of the estate was overwhelming. Floor-to-ceiling windows illuminated the lush gardens, fountains sparkled, and waitstaff in crisp uniforms moved efficiently through the crowd. She straightened her back, smoothing her dress for what felt like the 100th time. "You've got this," she whispered to herself. "Just don't trip, don't offend anyone, and for heaven's sake, don't run into her again." Inside, the estate was buzzing. Crystal chandeliers reflected light off polished marble floors, and the hum of polite conversation mingled with soft classical music. Emma scanned the room, searching for Alex. She spotted him across the hall, charming and composed, laughing at something a friend had said. Relief washed over her, until her eyes caught a certain figure standing by the staircase. Victoria Sterling. Emma froze. Victoria's posture was impeccable. She exuded power, elegance, and a quiet, unyielding authority. Her eyes found Emma instantly, and the faintest smirk curved her lips, an expression that promised she hadn't forgotten a single detail from the lobby incident. Emma swallowed and forced a smile, stepping toward Alex. "Hey!" she murmured, trying to keep her voice steady. Alex turned, his smile brightening. "Emma, you made it." He leaned in for a quick, reassuring kiss. "Don't worry about anything. Mom's, well, just be yourself." Emma glanced at Victoria, whose gaze never wavered. "Mom's, okay," Emma said cautiously. I'll be fine." As she followed Alex further into the crowd, Emma immediately felt the pressure of every guest's attention. A few whispered as she passed, their eyes flicking toward her, subtle judgments unspoken but palpable. She tried to smile politely, to keep her hands steady, and to avoid stepping on anyone's toes, literally or figuratively. Victoria moved through the room with a quiet grace, making brief, pointed introductions. Every interaction Emma witnessed seemed designed to remind her that this was not just any engagement party. This was a world of wealth, status, and expectations far beyond her own experience. Emma tried to focus on Alex, who leaned down and whispered, "Relax, just enjoy the evening. I'm proud of you." But then came the first awkward encounter. A waiter bumped into Emma as she reached for a glass of sparkling water. Emma stumbled slightly, and in her panic, grabbed the nearest person for support, which happened to be Victoria herself. Victoria didn't flinch. Her eyes narrowed, but the faintest smile tugged at her lips. Emma's stomach sank. "Emma," Victoria said smoothly, her voice calm but laced with subtle authority. "Try to remember that elegance isn't just about what you wear. It's also about how you move and who you bump into." Emma flushed scarlet, murmuring a barely audible, "I'm so sorry." Victoria's smile widened, thin and precise. "Consider it a learning moment." Emma stepped back, her pulse racing. The room suddenly felt twice as large, the music twice as loud, and the pressure twice as unbearable. This was just the beginning. Emma clutched her clutch a little too tightly as she moved through the crowd, her eyes darting nervously from guest to guest. Every laugh, every whisper felt like it was directed at her. She took a deep breath and tried to remind herself, "It's just a party, just a party." Her attempt at calm was short-lived. As she reached for a canopy, a waiter brushed past her. Emma, flustered, turned sharply and accidentally bumped into a woman carrying a tray of champagne. The tray wobbled dangerously, and Emma lunged to steady it. "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry," she blurted out. The woman smiled politely, but Emma's eyes widened when she realized she was standing in front of Victoria Sterling again, this time in a serving role for the moment. Emma froze. "Oh no, 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 not again," she whispered under her breath. She instinctively curtsied, awkwardly, painfully, and muttered, "Please don't hate me." Victoria's eyes twinkled with amusement. She lowered the tray slightly and tilted her head. "Miss Carter, still learning the art of balance, I see?" Emma's ears burned. She stammered, I didn't mean to. I just..." Victoria's smile remained, calm and measured. "Let's consider this another opportunity for growth." Emma nodded frantically, nearly tripping over her own heels as she backed away. A soft laugh escaped from a nearby guest, and Emma waved awkwardly, pretending she was fine. Trying to regain composure, she moved toward the hors d'oeuvres table, only to have another minor disaster. She picked up a plate of tiny quiches, and in her nervousness, she jostled a passing guest. A polite but sharp comment from the guest made Emma's stomach twist. "Excuse me," she mumbled, cheeks flaming. Just..." Across the room, Victoria observed silently, sipping her champagne. Her eyes followed Emma with the precision of a hawk. She didn't intervene, but her presence made Emma hyper-aware of every movement. Every slip of etiquette felt magnified. Emma's panic rose, and she sought a familiar face. She found Chloe near the center of the room, speaking animatedly with a small group of guests. Emma made a beeline for her. "Chloe!" she hissed, crouching slightly to avoid the gaze of any nearby VIPs. This is worse than I thought. She's everywhere, Chloe. Everywhere." Chloe gave a small smirk, whispering back, "Relax. She's testing you. Trust me, she's doing it on purpose. Just survive tonight, then you'll be fine." Emma groaned, her hands flying to her face. "Testing me? I can barely survive my own balance. How is this a test?" Chloe laughed softly. "Mom-in-law-to-be. That's how. Now, stop looking like you're about to faint and try to smile. Remember, elegance, poise, and don't spill anything else." Emma straightened, took a deep breath, and stepped back into the crowd, only to find herself face to face with yet another awkward situation. A young guest mistook her for a server and asked her to fetch drinks. Emma froze, blinking rapidly. "Oh no, I'm not," she began, but before she could finish, Victoria appeared at her side, lightly touching her arm. "Perhaps, Emma," Victoria said softly but firmly, "it's best to let the professionals handle this. Focus on your role as a guest." Emma nodded vigorously, grateful yet mortified. Her pulse raced, cheeks flushed, and she couldn't help but feel she was navigating a minefield, where one wrong step could spell total disaster. And yet, through the chaos, Victoria's subtle smile hinted at a strange approval. Emma didn't know it yet, but each tiny misstep was slowly shaping her into someone Victoria could respect, if she survived the night. The music in the Sterling estate felt louder than ever, echoing against the polished marble walls as Emma tried, unsuccessfully, to regain her composure. Every conversation, every clink of glasses seemed amplified in her jittery state. She spotted Alex across the room, effortlessly charming, chatting with a group of colleagues. Relief washed over her, until she noticed him looking toward her with a mixture of concern and disbelief. He excused himself from the group and approached, his hand resting gently on her shoulder. "Emma, what's going on?" His voice was low, meant only for her. "You've been tense all evening. Is something wrong?" Emma's words tumbled out, breathless. I don't even know where to start. I kicked someone by accident. And then there was the tray incident. And Alex's eyes widened slightly. "You what?" Emma winced. "I don't know how to explain. It was a huge misunderstanding." Before Alex could respond, Victoria approached, her movements fluid and deliberate, radiating authority. She stopped just a few feet away, eyes locked on Emma. The room seemed to quiet subtly, the attention of nearby guests drawn to the small but tense moment. Emma's heart sank. She glanced at Alex, expecting him to intervene. He simply exhaled sharply, an unreadable expression on his face. Victoria's gaze softened briefly, then she extended a perfectly manicured hand toward Emma. "Emma, I believe introductions are in order. I'm Victoria Sterling, your fiancé's mother." Emma froze. Time slowed. Her mind scrambled to comprehend the words. Mother of Alex. The woman I kicked? The woman I called a cleaner in my mind? "Oh my God," Emma whispered, her voice barely audible. Her face turned crimson, cheeks burning hotter than the estate's chandeliers. She stumbled over her words. I didn't know. Victoria's lips curved into a thin, controlled smile. "Clearly, that much is obvious." Alex's expression was a mix of disbelief and frustration. He stepped forward slightly, placing a reassuring hand on Emma's arm. "Mom, please." Emma didn't mean. Victoria raised a hand gently, cutting him off. "I am aware, Alex. This isn't about blame. It's about understanding the boundaries of our world. Emma, every family has its own standards. Every individual has expectations. And tonight you've had a first, and rather memorable lesson." Emma's knees threatened to give way. She could barely meet Victoria's eyes, muttering a barely audible, "I'm so sorry." Victoria nodded slowly, her tone softening. "Apologies are the first step. Actions will follow. Consider tonight a test, a preview of what it means to be part of this family. How you navigate it will speak volumes." Emma swallowed hard, trying to nod, to gather herself. She wanted to disappear, to rewind the evening, but she couldn't. All she could do was brace herself for what was next. Alex's hand squeezed hers gently. "You're going to be okay, Emma. Just stay yourself. You'll see Mom's tough, but fair." Emma nodded, taking a shaky breath. The party continued around them, sparkling glasses and laughter masking the tension. But Emma's mind was a whirlwind. She had officially met Victoria Sterling, her formidable mother-in-law-to-be. And the first impression? Catastrophic. And yet, there was a strange spark in Victoria's gaze, an unspoken promise that perhaps, just perhaps, Emma had a chance to survive this night and win her respect. The morning sun streamed through the tall windows of the Sterling estate, casting golden light over the polished dining room. Emma Carter sat stiffly at the long, mahogany breakfast table, her hands folded neatly in her lap. Every utensil, every plate, every subtle glance from the staff felt magnified under the weight of yesterday's events. Across from her sat Victoria Sterling, immaculate as ever, sipping her tea with calm precision. Her sharp eyes didn't miss a single movement Emma made. The silence between them was deliberate, heavy, and Emma could feel it pressing against her chest. Finally, Victoria set down her cup, fingers tapping lightly on the table. "Emma," she began, her voice smooth but commanding, "about last night. You owe me an explanation." Emma's throat went dry. She had rehearsed this apology countless times in the mirror, but saying it aloud to Victoria Sterling, Alex's mother, was far more intimidating. I want to apologize, Emma began carefully. I was clumsy, overwhelmed, and I misjudged the situation entirely. I didn't mean to offend you. Victoria's gaze didn't waver. Clumsy is an understatement, but I sense sincerity. Most young women would have frozen, panicked, or avoided the situation entirely. You did not. That speaks to something. Emma blinked, surprised. Something good? She asked cautiously, almost afraid of the answer. Victoria's lips curved slightly, a faint smirk. Potential. Raw, unrefined potential. But potential alone isn't enough. Life in this family, in our world, requires grace, composure, and resilience. You will need all three if you wish to remain by Alex's side. Emma nodded quickly, swallowing the lump in her throat. I understand. I'll do whatever it takes. I want to make this right. I want to earn your trust. Victoria leaned back slightly, her eyes softening just a touch. Trust is earned through actions, Emma, not words. Your apology is accepted, but consider this a lesson. Intentions matter less than results. I'll be observing closely. Emma's heart raced, but she tried to hide her nerves with a polite smile. I won't let you down. Victoria's expression softened further, a rare glimpse of warmth breaking through her formidable exterior. See that you don't. And remember, this family, while demanding, is not unkind. Mistakes are permitted, provided they are acknowledged and corrected. That, Emma, is the difference between surviving and thriving here. Emma exhaled slowly, a sense of relief washing over her. The tension hadn't fully lifted, but she felt the faintest glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, she could navigate this complex world and earn Victoria's approval. As they ate in silence, Alex finally joined them at the table, cheerful and unworried. He reached across and gently squeezed Emma's hand. Good morning, Em. Did you sleep well? Emma smiled weakly, trying to mask her nerves. As well as one can after yesterday, she murmured. Alex chuckled softly, glancing at his mother. Mom, she's trying. Give her a little credit. Victoria's eyes flickered to Alex, then back to Emma. Her smile was faint but approving. I am observing, Alex. But yes, she shows promise. Emma felt a small surge of confidence. The first real conversation with Victoria had been intimidating, yes, but also enlightening. She realized that if she could prove herself, she could not only survive this family but maybe even gain their respect. She straightened in her chair, took a sip of her coffee, and silently vowed, no more mistakes. Not tonight. Not ever. Later that afternoon, Emma found herself alone in the quiet corner of the Sterling Estate's sunroom, the soft hum of city traffic barely audible through the tall windows. Sunlight streamed across the polished floors, highlighting the sleek modern furniture and tasteful artwork. It was beautiful, but it only reminded her how out of place she felt. She sank onto the plush sofa, pulling her knees close. Her mind replayed the events of the past 24 hours. The lobby incident, the engagement party, and now breakfast with Victoria Sterling. Every moment felt magnified in her memory, every faux pas looming like a mountain she couldn't climb. Her phone buzzed on the side table. A text from Chloe lit up the screen. Where are you? Spill it. How bad was it? Emma smiled weakly, fingers flying over the keyboard. Complicated. Her mother is terrifying, and she knows everything about me already. I feel like I'm on trial. Chloe's reply came almost instantly. Ha! Welcome to the Sterling Circus. Don't worry, Em. You've got this. You're smart, charming, and surprisingly resilient. Just breathe. Don't trip. Literally. Emma chuckled despite herself, leaning back against the sofa. Resilient? Maybe. If I survive the day. She stared out the window, her thoughts drifting. She couldn't deny that Victoria's words from breakfast lingered in her mind. Trust is earned through actions, not words. That phrase echoed over and over. Emma realized that if she wanted to remain with Alex, Not just survive, but thrive. She would have to prove herself beyond apologies and smiles. Her reflection in the glass caught her attention. She saw a determined, slightly frazzled woman staring back. Someone who had made mistakes but wasn't willing to let them define her. Emma straightened in her seat, a spark of resolve flickering in her chest. Pulling her phone back, she typed again to Chloe, "I need a plan. I can't just fumble through this family. I need to show Victoria I'm capable, that I belong here." Chloe's reply popped up, "That's my girl. So, step 1, survive tonight's dinner. Step 2, charm the socks off her. Step 3, don't kick anyone else." Emma laughed softly, shaking her head. Step 3 is going to be the hardest. She set the phone aside and stood, pacing slowly. She had to think strategically. Victoria was formidable, yes, but she wasn't unreasonable. Emma just needed to find the balance. Prove her intelligence, grace, and loyalty without losing herself in the process. "I can do this," she told herself firmly. "I have to." Emma glanced around the sunroom, imagining Victoria's sharp eyes observing her every move. She had to anticipate, to stay one step ahead, and to show not just Alex but his family that she could navigate their world. The afternoon stretched on, and Emma spent it planning, rehearsing polite conversations, and reflecting on her own strengths. She realized that survival wasn't enough anymore. She wanted respect, trust, and perhaps even a little admiration. By the time she looked at her phone again, the sun was dipping toward the horizon. Evening would bring the next test, the family gala. And Emma knew that this would be her first real chance to prove that she was more than clumsy mistakes and nervous apologies. With a deep breath, she whispered to herself, "This is my world now too. I will show them I belong." The Sterling Estates grand ballroom gleamed under the soft glow of crystal chandeliers. The evening gala was in full swing, the air buzzing with polite conversation, laughter, and the subtle hum of a string quartet. Emma stepped into the room, her heels clicking against the marble floor, her heart hammering in rhythm with the distant music. Victoria Sterling was already there, effortlessly commanding attention without a word. She stood by the grand staircase, eyes scanning the room like a chess player surveying the board. Emma felt the weight of her gaze even before Victoria approached. "Emma," Victoria said, her voice smooth, carrying effortlessly over the ambient chatter. "Tonight is about observation, grace under pressure, social poise, and the ability to navigate unexpected situations." Emma nodded, straightening her shoulders. "I understand, Mrs. Sterling. I won't disappoint you." Victoria's thin smile hinted that she already doubted her, but she didn't comment further. "Let's see how well you handle your first task." She gestured subtly toward a group of guests near the refreshment table, including a few influential business partners and a distinguished couple Emma didn't recognize. Emma's stomach tightened. The group was already deep in conversation, and one wrong word or misstep could ruin her impression. Victoria's instructions were unspoken but clear. Navigate the conversation, maintain composure, and demonstrate confidence. Emma inhaled deeply, repeating silently, grace, composure, intelligence. She approached the group, offering polite smiles and soft hellos. The distinguished gentleman at the front extended his hand. "You must be Emma," he said warmly. "Alex has told us so much about you." Emma shook his hand firmly. "It's an honor to meet you. Alex speaks very highly of all of you." A subtle nod from Victoria across the room gave Emma a surge of courage. She began to engage, asking thoughtful questions, listening attentively, and responding with measured charm. The couple laughed at a small joke she made, and for the first time that evening, Emma felt a flicker of confidence. But Victoria wasn't done. As if testing her further, a tray of champagne glasses wobbled precariously nearby, and Emma instinctively stepped forward to steady it, careful not to spill anything. A gasp of appreciation from a nearby guest confirmed she had managed the task flawlessly. Victoria's gaze softened just slightly, a rare sign of approval. Emma could feel it. This was the first real acknowledgement that she was capable, even in a room filled with scrutiny. By the end of the evening, Emma had managed small talk, diffused a minor faux pas when a guest mispronounced her name, and even found a few moments to exchange genuine smiles with Victoria, who observed quietly, her expression inscrutable. As the gala began to wind down, Victoria approached Emma again. "You handled yourself well," she said, her tone measured but approving. "Tonight was the beginning. There is much more to learn, but you have shown potential. Alex is lucky." Emma exhaled, a mixture of relief and pride flooding through her. She had survived the first test. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. Alex appeared beside her, taking her hand in his. "You were amazing tonight, Em. I'm proud of you." Emma smiled, squeezing his hand. "Thanks, Alex. It's getting easier." Victoria's eyes lingered on her for a moment longer, calculating, assessing. Emma knew this was only the beginning. The path ahead was still fraught with challenges, but for the first time, she felt she had a foothold. Step by step, Emma thought, one test at a time. The Sterling estate was buzzing again, but this time with a very different energy. Staff rushed through the halls, arranging floral displays, adjusting table settings, and rehearsing the evening's schedule. Emma Carter stood near the grand ballroom, clipboard in hand, heart pounding. "This table needs repositioning," she called out to a waiter, pointing at a display of hors d'oeuvres. "And make sure the lighting over the stage isn't too harsh. It'll wash out the cameras." A flustered staff member nodded, muttering apologies under their breath, while Emma sighed and rubbed her temples. She had underestimated the scale of this event. Planning a charity gala wasn't just about aesthetics. It was a delicate balancing act between elegance, timing, and the high expectations of the guests. Alex appeared beside her, calm and composed as always, his hands casually tucked into his pockets. "You're doing fine, Em," he said softly. "Don't stress. Everything will come together." Emma shot him a grateful but tense smile. "It's just, everyone has such high expectations. I feel like one wrong move, and Victoria will." Alex chuckled lightly. "She's watching, yes, but that doesn't mean she wants you to fail. She just wants to see what you're capable of." Emma took a deep breath and nodded. "Okay, capable. I can do that." Her first challenge arrived swiftly. A group of VIP guests had arrived early, and a miscommunication with the catering staff resulted in the wrong appetizers being served. Emma rushed over, apologizing, and quickly coordinated replacements. Sweat prickled at her brow as she ensured the presentation was flawless. Victoria stood nearby, observing quietly, her eyes sharp and calculating. Emma felt the weight of her gaze, her every move under scrutiny. "Remember," Victoria said softly, her voice carrying a calm authority, "grace under pressure. Handle mistakes with composure. Your response says more than perfection ever could." Emma nodded, determined. She apologized politely to the guests, coordinated with the staff, and even managed a light-hearted quip that made the group laugh, diffusing tension. For a moment, she allowed herself a small smile. Maybe she could handle this. But the challenges didn't stop. A delivery of floral arrangements arrived late, tables had to be shifted to accommodate a larger-than-expected guest list, and one of the sound systems malfunctioned. Emma juggled tasks, delegating where she could and stepping in where she couldn't. At one point, she caught Victoria watching her from across the room. The subtle nod Victoria gave as Emma calmly redirected a waiter felt like a small victory. Emma realized she was starting to understand the rhythm of the estate, the expectations of its people, and even the subtle nuances of Victoria's quiet assessments. By the end of the afternoon, Emma was exhausted. Her nerves frayed, but her determination stronger than ever. She glanced at Alex, who smiled encouragingly. "See? You're handling this beautifully." Emma allowed herself a brief, satisfied grin. Maybe I'm starting to get the hang of it," she admitted. But deep down, she knew the evening would test her even further. The gala was just beginning, and the real challenge, proving herself to Victoria and the Sterling family, was still ahead. The grand ballroom was alive with conversation, laughter, and the soft hum of the string quartet. Emma Carter weaved through the crowd, clutching her clipboard, every sense alert to any potential mistake. She had survived the preparation chaos, but now came the real test, interacting with guests while maintaining perfect composure. Her first misstep came when she approached a table of elderly philanthropists to guide them to their seats. As she turned, she tripped slightly on the hem of her dress, sending a napkin flying toward a guest's champagne glass. The elderly man chuckled kindly, but Emma's cheeks burned bright red. "I'm so sorry," she murmured, bending to retrieve the napkin. Victoria, standing nearby, watched silently, her expression unreadable. A faint smirk tugged at her lips as she observed Emma recover with grace. Emma straightened, took a deep breath, and continued escorting guests, trying to ignore the flush of embarrassment that lingered. Next, Emma faced a miscommunication with the staff. A tray of delicate hors d'oeuvres was meant for a VIP table but was accidentally delivered to a less formal area. Emma dashed forward, retrieving the tray, apologizing, and redirecting it. One of the young assistants muttered, "Wow, she's handling this like a pro." Emma forced a polite smile, though inside she was hyper-aware of Victoria's gaze. She could feel her eyes analyzing every reaction, every movement, every word spoken. It was overwhelming but oddly motivating. During the evening, she encountered a particularly intimidating socialite who cornered her for small talk. Emma stumbled initially, unsure how to respond to the highbrow questions about art auctions and charity funding. But she remembered Victoria's advice, grace under pressure. She smiled, asked thoughtful questions, and even managed a subtle joke that earned a soft laugh from the socialite. By the time dessert was being served, Emma felt slightly more confident, though the pressure never fully lifted. She realized that the missteps, the awkward moments, and even the humiliations were teaching her more than any preparation ever could. Every mistake was a lesson in poise, every recovery an opportunity to demonstrate composure. Victoria approached her quietly, just as Emma was adjusting a centerpiece. "You handled yourself well," she said softly, her voice calm yet commanding attention. "Mistakes happen. It is how you respond that defines you." Emma nodded, grateful yet still nervous. "Thank you, Mrs. Sterling. I'm trying." Victoria's faint smile softened further. "And that effort is noted." For the first time that evening, Emma felt a glimmer of pride. She wasn't perfect, and the evening was far from flawless. But she was learning, adapting, and even beginning to see Victoria not as a formidable obstacle but as a guide pushing her to excel. As the gala continued around her, Emma's confidence grew in small, subtle increments. She realized that navigating this world wasn't about never failing. It was about how she carried herself after every stumble. And tonight, despite the humiliations and mishaps, she had taken her first steps toward mastering that delicate balance. The gala had finally reached a quieter moment. Guests were engaged in conversation. The music softened to a gentle hum, and the dim lighting gave the grand ballroom a warm, inviting glow. Emma Carter took a deep breath, leaning against a side table, trying to steady her nerves after the whirlwind of interactions, small mistakes, and rapid-fire corrections. Victoria Sterling approached silently, her heels clicking softly against the polished floor. Emma straightened instinctively, expecting a reprimand, but instead Victoria's expression was calm, almost thoughtful. "Emma," Victoria said, her voice low and private, "may I have a word?" Emma nodded, following Victoria to a quieter corner of the ballroom. Her pulse quickened. "Oh no, she's going to point out everything I did wrong," she thought nervously. But Victoria's eyes held no judgment, only an attentive scrutiny. "Tonight," she began, "I watched you handle yourself under pressure. The mistakes, the awkward moments, the missteps, they were all minor. What impressed me was how you responded to them." Emma blinked, unsure how to react. I was just trying not to ruin everything," she admitted softly. Victoria's faint smile deepened. "And yet, you handled it with grace and honesty. You didn't try to cover up errors or shift blame. You took responsibility and you adapted. That is rare. That is admirable." Emma's cheeks flushed, a mix of relief and pride washing over her. Thank you. I didn't know if I was doing it right. I just wanted to prove myself. You did, Victoria said simply. Potential is meaningless without action. Tonight, your actions spoke louder than any nerves or mistakes ever could. You may not realize it, but you earned respect. Mine included. Emma's heart skipped a beat. She had spent the past days fearing Victoria's disapproval, imagining her as an unyielding obstacle. But here, in this quiet corner, she saw something different. A woman who expected excellence, yes, but also valued sincerity and effort. I really appreciate you saying that, Emma said quietly. I want to do better. Not just for Alex, but for myself too. Victoria nodded, her gaze softening further. Good. Remember, Emma, this family, this world, it's demanding. But it isn't cruel. Mistakes are allowed, provided lessons are learned. Continue on this path, and you'll do more than survive. You'll thrive. For the first time, Emma felt a connection beyond fear and anxiety. She realized that Victoria's high expectations were not a punishment. They were a guide, a way to help her rise to the occasion. Thank you, Mrs. Sterling, Emma whispered, a genuine smile spreading across her face. I won't let you down. Victoria's faint smirk returned, this time tinged with approval. I do not doubt it. Now go, enjoy the rest of the evening. You've earned it. As Victoria walked back into the crowd, Emma allowed herself a deep, steadying breath. For the first time, she felt capable. Not just surviving the Sterling family's world, but beginning to belong in it. The night had settled over the Sterling estate, leaving the gala guests to mingle in smaller groups, while the string quartet played a soft, melodic tune in the background. Emma Carter found herself on the balcony, leaning against the railing, her eyes tracing the glittering city lights in the distance. Her heart still raced from the evening's events. She had survived Victoria's scrutiny, navigated awkward social interactions, and even felt the faintest hint of approval. But the emotional weight of the past days lingered. Alex appeared beside her, hands in his pockets, his casual elegance a stark contrast to Emma's still tense posture. Hey, he said softly, offering a small smile. Mind if I join you? Emma shook her head, managing a weak smile. Of course not. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, the cool night air brushing past them. Finally, Emma spoke, her voice tentative. Alex, can I be honest about something? Always, he replied, turning slightly to face her, his eyes full of warmth and concern. Emma took a deep breath. I know your family expects a lot, and I don't come from that world. I feel out of place. I'm worried I'll never meet their expectations, or yours. She looked down, fiddling with her hands. I love you, Alex, but sometimes I wonder if I'm enough for this life, for this family. Alex's expression softened, and he reached for her hand, gently holding it in his. Emma, listen to me, he said firmly yet tenderly. You are more than enough. I love you for who you are, not for where you come from, not for what you have or don't have. My family, well, they have high standards, yes, but that doesn't mean they won't see your worth. Emma looked up at him, eyes shimmering with emotion. It's just, Victoria. She's so intimidating. I keep making mistakes, and I feel like she's judging everything I do. Alex chuckled softly, squeezing her hand. She is intimidating, I won't lie, but she's not cruel. She's testing you, yes, but that's because she wants to see the real you, not some fake version. And the truth is, I'm proud of how you've handled everything so far. Emma's lips trembled slightly, and she allowed herself to lean into him. I just don't want to disappoint anyone, especially you. Alex wrapped an arm around her shoulders, pulling her close. You could never disappoint me, Em. You're brave, smart, and you care. Those are the things that matter. Everything else, we'll handle together. Emma exhaled, feeling the tension ease from her shoulders for the first time in days. Thank you. I needed to hear that. Alex smiled, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. We're a team. Always. No matter how tough it gets with my family, no matter what tests come your way, you and I, together, that's what counts. Emma smiled genuinely for the first time that night, her heart swelling with warmth. For the first time, she felt not just accepted, but supported. By the man she loved and by the belief that she could rise to any challenge, no matter how intimidating. As they stood together on the balcony, the city lights reflecting in their eyes, Emma realized that love wasn't just about romance. It was about trust, partnership, and the courage to face challenges side by side. The morning sun filtered through the Sterling Estate's grand windows, casting a warm glow over the breakfast room. Emma Carter sat across from Victoria Sterling, her nerves taut like strings as she carefully arranged her napkin. Alex was nearby, casually reading the morning papers, seemingly oblivious to the tension between mother and fiancé. Victoria's sharp gaze didn't waver. "Emma," she began calmly, "I have a small task for you this morning. Consider it a test." Emma's stomach sank. "A test?" she repeated, trying to mask her apprehension. Victoria nodded sadly. "Yes, there is a minor issue with a delivery, an envelope addressed to Alex with confidential documents. It arrived yesterday, but one of the staff misplaced it. I want you to locate it and ensure it reaches him without anyone else seeing its contents. Discretion is key." Emma nodded, trying to steady her shaking hands. "Of course, I'll handle it carefully." Victoria's eyes softened slightly, just enough to show a hint of approval. "Good. Consider this a measure of integrity, not just efficiency. Your actions here will tell me more about you than words ever could." Emma excused herself and began quietly searching through the office and staff areas, carefully questioning the team without revealing the sensitive nature of the envelope. Her pulse raced as she navigated the space, acutely aware that Victoria's eyes were figuratively on her every step. Finally, tucked away behind a stack of files in a secure cabinet, she found the envelope. Its contents, Alex's confidential business documents, were delicate, and Emma handled them with utmost care. She carried it back to the breakfast room, her palms slightly clammy, and presented it to Alex discreetly. "Here," she said softly, sliding it across to him without attracting attention. Alex looked up, a mix of surprise and admiration in his eyes. "Thanks, Em." That was handled perfectly. Victoria watched silently from across the room, her sharp eyes studying Emma's composure. Emma felt her pulse quicken, knowing the evaluation was still ongoing. She remained calm, sipping her tea and maintaining her poise, even when Alex innocently commented aloud about the envelope's significance in front of Victoria. Finally, Victoria spoke, her voice smooth and controlled. "Well done, Emma. That was handled with discretion and care. Integrity is proven through actions, not declarations. You've demonstrated both today." Emma exhaled, a mixture of relief and pride flooding through her. She realized this wasn't just a task. It was a demonstration of trust and responsibility. She had succeeded, and Victoria's subtle nod confirmed her approval. Alex reached over, taking Emma's hand in his. "See? You're more than capable, Em. I'm proud of you." Emma smiled, the tension melting slightly. She knew the test wasn't just about a misplaced envelope. It was about showing Victoria she could navigate delicate situations, maintain composure, and prove her loyalty. And for the first time, she felt she had begun to meet the high expectations of the Sterling family. Victoria returned to her seat, a faint, approving smile on her lips. Emma realized that the path to acceptance wasn't about perfection. It was about honesty, discretion, and character. And today she had shown all three. The gala was in full swing, and the Sterling Estate's grand ballroom shimmered with chandeliers and sparkling decorations. Guests moved gracefully, champagne flutes in hand, laughter filling the air, and Emma Carter moved among them with a newfound confidence. Earlier that day, she had been nervous, doubting her ability to meet the high expectations of Alex's mother and the distinguished crowd. But now, after discreetly handling minor crises and showcasing her poise, she felt the tide had turned in her favor. Victoria Sterling observed quietly from the side, her expression unreadable. Emma caught her gaze several times, noticing a subtle approval that hadn't been there before. Alex approached her, smiling. You're handling this brilliantly, Em. I can't believe how composed you are. Emma smiled back, a flicker of pride in her eyes. I've learned a lot since last night. Just then, a minor emergency arose. A waiter accidentally spilled wine near a guest's gown. Emma reacted immediately, apologizing gracefully, assisting the staff in cleaning it up, and ensuring the guest felt respected and valued. Victoria's eyes widened slightly, and she nodded imperceptibly to herself. Emma realized she had passed another test, this one not planned, spontaneous, and entirely revealing of character under pressure. As the evening progressed, Emma engaged in conversations with influential philanthropists, listening attentively, asking thoughtful questions, and sharing witty, light-hearted comments that drew genuine laughter from the guests. She moved with grace and composure, and each interaction built her confidence further. Finally, Victoria approached her quietly, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Emma," she said, her voice low but commanding, "you've done exceptionally well tonight. I am proud of how you've conducted yourself." Emma's cheeks flushed with warmth. "Thank you, Mrs. Sterling. That means a lot." Victoria's expression softened. Then she straightened, addressing the gathered guests. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice clear and elegant, "I would like to take a moment to acknowledge Emma Carter. Despite being new to our world, she has demonstrated poise, grace, and intelligence tonight, qualities I greatly value." A murmur of approval spread through the crowd, and Emma felt her heart swell with pride and relief. Alex's eyes shone with admiration as he took her hand. "I told you, Em. You were amazing." Emma allowed herself a genuine, radiant smile. For the first time she felt fully seen, not just by Alex but by Victoria and the Sterling family. The evening had been a challenge, but she had risen to it, and the acknowledgement confirmed that she was no longer an outsider. Victoria leaned in quietly, her voice just for Emma. "You've earned your place tonight. Remember this feeling. You are capable of much more than you believe." Emma nodded, savoring the moment. She realized that her journey wasn't over. There would still be challenges ahead, but for the first time, she felt empowered. Confidence, grace, and courage had won her respect. The gala continued, but for Emma, the night had already been a triumph. She glanced at Alex, their hands intertwined, and whispered softly, "We did it, together." Alex smiled, pulling her close. "Always together." The morning sun streamed through the Sterling Estate's dining room, casting a golden glow over the polished oak table. Emma Carter sat across from Victoria Sterling, her hands folded nervously in her lap. Alex had stepped out to take a business call, leaving her alone with Victoria for what felt like an eternity. Emma took a deep breath. "Mrs. Sterling, I want to apologize for the way I acted the day we first met. I didn't realize who I was speaking to, and I feel terrible for my behavior." Victoria regarded her silently, her expression calm but unreadable. Emma's palms were clammy, and she struggled to maintain eye contact, afraid her words weren't enough. Finally, Victoria's lips curved into a small, amused smile. "Emma, you nearly kicked me in the lobby," she said lightly, her tone teasing rather than reproachful. "I must admit, it was startling." Emma's eyes widened. I'm so sorry. I honestly thought you were a cleaner. I never meant." Victoria raised a hand, cutting her off. "Stop. Emma, that was then and this is now. You have shown me time and time again that you are honest, capable, and sincere. I forgive you, and honestly, I find the story amusing in retrospect." Emma exhaled, relief flooding through her. "Thank you. I promise I'll never make such a mistake again." Victoria's smile widened slightly, a rare warmth in her eyes. "Good. That would be wise." She chuckled softly, shaking her head. "I suppose this means you're officially part of the family now, though perhaps with one foot cautiously placed behind you at all times." Emma laughed, the tension she had carried for weeks melting away. "I'll be careful, I promise." Victoria leaned back, folding her hands elegantly. "You've earned my respect, Emma. Remember that. It isn't given lightly. And for what it's worth, you've also earned my humor. And trust me, I have plenty of that to share. Emma smiled, feeling an overwhelming sense of relief and joy. For the first time since the infamous lobby incident, she felt fully accepted. Not just by Victoria, but by the family she had grown to care for deeply. Just then, Alex returned, catching the tail end of the laughter. "What's so funny?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. Emma grinned. "I finally got forgiveness for my kick of destiny," she joked lightly, nodding toward Victoria. Victoria chuckled, shaking her head. "Yes, well, let's not make a habit of it." Alex wrapped his arms around Emma, kissing her forehead. "See? I told you everything would work out." Emma rested against him, feeling a newfound confidence. She had faced embarrassment, tests, and high expectations, and emerged stronger, respected, and truly part of the Sterling family. For the first time, she felt at home. The Sterling estate was alive with music, laughter, and clinking glasses. Guests mingled freely, celebrating the joyous occasion, while the aroma of gourmet cuisine filled the air. Emma Carter walked hand in hand with Alex Sterling, her smile radiant, her nerves replaced by pure excitement. "Can you believe it?" she whispered to Alex, her eyes sparkling. "We're really here, engaged, celebrated." Alex grinned, squeezing her hand. "Believe it, Em. We made it through every challenge, every awkward moment, every almost kick incident." Emma laughed, remembering the infamous lobby mishap. "Yes, thank goodness for forgiveness, and for lessons learned." Victoria Sterling approached, her posture elegant, her expression softened with approval. "Emma," she said warmly, "you've handled yourself beautifully. Tonight isn't just about celebrating the engagement. It's about recognizing how far you've come." Emma felt a flush of pride. "Thank you, Mrs. Sterling. I couldn't have done it without your guidance," she said with a shy smile. Victoria chuckled lightly, her voice teasing. "Guidance, yes. But remember, Emma, the next time you see me in a lobby, try not to kick me." Emma laughed, a genuine, carefree sound. "I'll do my best, I promise." Guests gathered around for a toast, glasses raised high. Alex's father joined in with a broad smile. "To Alex and Emma, may your journey together be filled with love, laughter, and just a few manageable tests from the family." Everyone laughed, clinking glasses in unison. Emma caught Alex's gaze, and they shared a tender moment amidst the joyful chaos. Later, as the celebration continued, Emma found herself dancing with Alex, twirling lightly as the music swelled. Victoria watched from the side, a rare, approving smile on her lips. The once intimidating mother-in-law had transformed, embracing Emma not just as Alex's fiancée, but as a capable, confident woman who had earned her respect. Chloe appeared suddenly, sneaking up behind Emma and giving her a playful nudge. "Look at you, Miss Sterling, in the making. Who would have thought the girl who almost kicked a billionaire's mother would be here, glowing and graceful?" Emma laughed, twirling again. "It's been a journey, but I guess I survived the ultimate test." Victoria approached once more, raising her glass in a quiet but meaningful toast. "To Emma, for proving herself in ways I never doubted she could. And to Alex, for choosing wisely." Emma's heart swelled as the room erupted into applause. She caught Alex's eye, and they shared a smile that spoke volumes. Love, trust, and triumph over every challenge. For the first time, Emma felt completely at home in the Sterling family, and in her own confidence. She had navigated chaos, embarrassment, and high expectations, and had emerged stronger, wiser, and genuinely celebrated. The evening continued with laughter, dancing, and lighthearted jokes, including a few humorous warnings from Victoria about avoiding future, kicking incidents. Emma couldn't help but giggle, realizing that even the most intimidating people could become allies, mentors, and friends. This was more than a celebration. It was a turning point, a recognition of growth, and the beginning of a bright, promising future for Emma, Alex, and the Sterling family. The evening had settled into a comfortable rhythm. Music, laughter, and the soft murmur of conversations filled the Sterling estate. But for Emma Carter, a sense of calm and contentment had replaced the nerves and chaos of the past weeks. She stood on the balcony with Alex, the city lights twinkling below like a sea of stars. He held her hand gently, their fingers intertwined, and she felt the steady reassurance of his presence. "I can't believe how far we've come," Emma whispered, leaning her head on his shoulder. "From almost kicking your mother to this." Alex laughed softly. "From chaos to celebration. I'd say we handled it well." Just then, Victoria appeared behind them, a glass of champagne in hand, and her usually poised expression softened with warmth. "Emma," she said, smiling, "you've proven yourself time and again, not just to me but to yourself. You've shown courage, integrity, and grace under pressure. And for that, you have my full respect and trust." Emma's heart swelled. "Thank you, Mrs. Sterling. I really appreciate it. Truly." Victoria placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Remember, life won't always be this perfect. There will be challenges, mistakes, and unexpected tests. But you've shown you can rise to them. Never forget that." Emma nodded, feeling a deep sense of pride. "I won't. I promise." Alex wrapped his arm around both women, pulling them close. "Here's to family, love, and all the adventures ahead," he said, smiling down at them both. Victoria chuckled lightly. "And Emma," she added teasingly, "let's keep the kicking incidents to a minimum, shall we?" Emma laughed wholeheartedly. The tension of past embarrassment finally washed away. "Absolutely," she said. The three of them stood there, sharing a quiet, meaningful moment. A family united by love, mutual respect, and the bonds they had built through challenge and growth. As the camera pans out metaphorically for the audience, Emma turned slightly, smiling toward the unseen viewers. "Remember, everyone, life is full of unexpected tests. It's not about never making mistakes. It's about how you handle them, the courage you show, and the love you embrace along the way." Alex grinned, wrapping an arm around her. "And when you do, sometimes the world opens up in ways you never imagined." Victoria raised her glass one last time. "To growth, love, and laughter. Never underestimate any of them." The night continued with laughter, celebration, and a sense of belonging that Emma had never known before. She had faced embarrassment, learned from challenges, gained respect, and found her place. Not just in Alex's life, but in his family. And to the audience watching, Emma's journey serves as a reminder. Embrace challenges, handle life with grace, and don't be afraid to take your place in the world, even when it seems intimidating. You never know where your courage will take you. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey. If you enjoyed Emma's story, don't forget to like, comment where you're watching from, and subscribe to our channel for more real, engaging stories about love, family, and life's unexpected challenges. Share this story with someone who needs a little inspiration today.